Hi there! In this video, we will discuss the summary of the 51st chapter of Noli Me Tangere by Dr. Jose Rizal, titled Exchanges. We will also study the important events, characters, settings, and lessons found in this chapter. Listen and watch carefully, as you will learn a lot from this historical work by Rizal. Let's begin. Linares felt troubled after receiving a letter from Doña Victorina. The letter said he had to challenge the alferez to a duel. However, he didn't know who would be willing to support him. He regretted boasting and lying just to gain Doña Victorina's favor. Meanwhile, Padre Salvi visited Captain Tiago's house. He brought news that Ibarra was no longer excommunicated. He described Ibarra as a good person, but sometimes impulsive. He also mentioned that the only person stopping Ibarra from being fully forgiven was Padre Damaso. If Maria Clara spoke to Padre Damaso, the priest would not be able to refuse her request. After hearing this, Maria Clara left the room with her friend, Victoria. Shortly after, Ibarra arrived at Captain Tiago's house with Tia Isabel. At that moment, Padre Salvi was still talking to Captain Tiago. Ibarra greeted Captain Tiago and Linares. Padre Salvi shook Ibarra's hand and told him that he had just been praising him. Ibarra was thankful for the kind words. Then, Ibarra approached Sinang and asked if Maria Clara was angry with him. Sinang said that Maria wanted Ibarra to forget about her. Despite this, Ibarra still wanted to talk to Maria Clara in person. In the end, he left the house. Now, let's move on to the important events in this chapter. Linares received a letter from Doña Victorina, which made him anxious. He had to challenge the alferez to a duel, but didn't know who would back him up. He regretted his arrogance and dishonesty. Padre Salvi visited Captain Tiago's house and announced that Ibarra was no longer excommunicated. He praised Ibarra, but mentioned that Padre Damaso was still against fully forgiving him. Ibarra arrived at Captain Tiago's house and heard the news about his excommunication being lifted. He thanked Padre Salvi for his kind words. Ibarra learned from Sinang that Maria Clara wanted him to forget her. However, he still wished to speak to her personally. After realizing Maria Clara's true feelings, Ibarra left Captain Tiago's house. Important characters. Alfonso Linares received a letter from Doña Victorina that made him worried. He had to challenge the alferez to a duel, but was unsure who would support him. Doña Victorina, a proud woman who pressured Linares to challenge the alferez, causing him distress. Padre Salvi visited Captain Tiago's house and shared the news about Ibarra's excommunication being removed. He praised Ibarra, but said Padre Damaso was still a problem. Ibarra went to Captain Tiago's house and learned that his excommunication was lifted. He wanted to talk to Maria Clara to understand how she truly felt. Captain Tiago received the news from Padre Salvi about Ibarra's excommunication being lifted. Maria Clara overheard the discussion about Ibarra's possible forgiveness. She told Sinang that Ibarra should forget her. Sinang, Maria Clara's friend who relayed her message to Ibarra. Tia Isabel accompanied Ibarra when he arrived at Captain Tiago's house. Let us now proceed to the setting of this chapter. The events of this chapter took place in Captain Tiago's house. Here are some of the lessons, messages, or implications shown in this chapter. This chapter shows the consequences of lying and bragging. Linares found himself in a difficult situation because of his dishonesty. It also highlights the power of forgiveness, especially when it comes to matters of faith, as seen in Ibarra's excommunication being lifted. Ibarra's desire to talk to Maria Clara shows the importance of communication in resolving misunderstandings and understanding each other's true feelings. Additionally, the chapter suggests that praise from others is not always enough to heal deep wounds, as seen in the situation between Ibarra and Maria Clara. Lastly, it illustrates how dealing with people who have different motives can be complicated, like Linares, who was caught in Doña Victorina's demands. And that concludes the 51st chapter of Noli Me Tangere, titled Exchanges. What have you learned from this chapter? Share your answers in the comments. We also encourage you to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay updated with our future videos. Until next time, thank you for watching.